Are you or someone you know looking to buy or sell a home? When you use a HomeGain realtor to buy or sell a home, you can get $150. Visit HomeGain.com and click on the Promo 150 banner at the top of the page to get started. Compare HomeGain realtors and choose your favorite. Complete your home purchase or sale transaction with a HomeGain realtor, and HomeGain will pay you $150. Get started today by going to HomeGain.com. Welcome back to Real Estate 360 Live. I'm your host, Ryan Sloper, joined today by my guest, Louis Cammarosano, the general manager of HomeGain. Quick reminder, Real Estate 360 Live is designed to build the Washington, D.C. Metro's housing and credit markets and give you good free advice. If you ever have any questions, concerns, or real estate needs, the best number to reach out to us is 877-245-2030. That's 877-245-2030. Remember, that's the number you can call if you have any questions regarding you're in a distressed situation and you're unable to make your mortgage payments and you're trying to figure out if a short sale is the best answer for you. What are the implications of a foreclosure? If you're trying to buy your first home and you're trying to find out if your state has any first-time home buyer programs that are available to you. If you've been working on a loan modification with your current mortgage company forever and are not having any luck, I'd like to point you in the right direction. I'd be glad to help you out. And the best number to reach out to me is 877-245-2030. So, Republican Duncan Hunter intends to press GOP leaders to move his bill to include the number of individuals who gave up looking for work and the percentage of jobless claims. So, Louis, this is interesting. Don't you agree? It's one of the best bills I've seen be introduced in a long time.
Well, it's really what it's designed to do is get to the real unemployment rate instead of calculating or stripping out people who are no longer looking for work or have been unemployed or for more than 18 months.
Right.
And it wants to include those that are applying for unemployment benefits. We do not get a true sense of the unemployment rate. We saw last time they released the numbers, very few jobs were created, but the unemployment rate went down. That's counterintuitive. It's not correct.
Right.
The unemployment rate actually is up. What they're doing is they're taking out the people who are no longer looking for work. They're still unemployed. They should be counted as unemployed. Now, of course, they're going to claim that the bill is politically motivated. It probably is. However, that can be used against whoever happens to be in power. So it really should have a standard where you can say what the unemployment rate is so that people can actually assess the situation. And if they want to try to fix it, they at least know what they're fixing it from. But to say the unemployment rate is going down when more people are unemployed, that means that statistic isn't correct, and it's similar to your inflation rate.
I was about to say the same thing. It would be great if they could
about get food and energy.
Right.
Okay, well, there's no inflation because we're not counting food and energy, which went up 10%.
Yeah. That'd be great if they could, might as well just throw the inflation into this bill so we can have the unemployment, using more accurate numbers and the inflation rate using more accurate numbers. Then we would have a more of a bird's eye view of what's actually going on in this country right now. It's interesting.
What's funny is that people know what's going on, and then they get told that the unemployment rate is going down and there is no inflation.
Sure. They gave an example in that article. The most recent unemployment rate, which was released on Friday at 8.2% unemployment, would actually officially be considered 9.6%. The so-called U5 rate that was also released by the Bureau of Labor Statistics. So, the Bureau of Labor Statistics is the one. They're just taking those numbers from them. They're not really altering anything. They're just using the numbers that they have from them and not stripping out, at their leisure what numbers they want to strip out. So, I think this would be a good thing. I don't really see why anybody would really want to oppose this, other than
you'd want to oppose it if you thought when you actually made the change that it would now show a much higher unemployment rate, and if you release that prior to the election, it would make the president look bad.
Sure. So, I mean,
he's banking on a decreasing unemployment rate, and if you recalculate and it shows it's gone up, especially since the time he's been elected, that would be devastating.
Yeah. Yeah, it's...
So if it passes, it would pass after he gets elected or after the election when you can reset it. But I don't think there's going to be groundswell support other than from Republicans, to get this new bill passed in time to release a new unemployment number before the election.
Yeah, I believe he said that something to the effect of, it's going to make the Republicans look bad too if unemployment is sliding. Because it's not just the president that's responsible for all this, but more or less, just more transparency is necessary. I think. Obviously,
I think it makes the government look bad that they release statistics that aren't indicative of what's actually going on in the economy. It's not really a Republican or Democratic issue.
Yeah, and they give you, the numbers that they've wanted to give you just so, and the media take, and they spin that to make it look like, oh, well, the economy's not so bad. Well, maybe based upon the numbers you're giving, but what about the real numbers?
I mean, you can always spin statistics. There's no such thing as a pure rate of unemployment, but this one is so skewed when you don't include people who aren't looking for a job anymore. They are unemployed.
Absolutely. I mean, what else? There's no other way around it. I mean, whether they're actively looking or they stop looking because they're so discouraged, they're unemployed.
I mean, and you can actually include that. You can say the rate of unemployment is 9.6%, and then you can say when you strip out those that are no longer looking for work, it's 8.2. But at least people can make the comparison.
Yeah.
If you only provide one number, then people don't know what the real rate is.
Sure. You're listening to Real Estate 360 Live. I'm your host, Ryan Sloper, joined by my guest, Louis Cammarosano, the general manager of HomeGain. I wanted to dive into this article that I had read on the Keeping Current Matters blog, and it was the 3 questions that you must answer when you buy a home. And it's interesting because I don't necessarily agree with all these 3 questions and actually the answers that they gave. So I want to kind of, touch on that with you, Louis, and get your thoughts as well. The first is, what are the experts recommending? And their answer was, in the last 120 days, many experts have said that buying now makes sense. This list includes John Talbot, Christopher Thornburg, and Warren Buffett. My immediate, response to that is that, okay, well, why do we automatically assume that like stock pickers and other financial analysts are the best people to be listening to? Other than maybe people that are like really involved in the actual real estate world. I would think that
Warren Buffett's advice on the housing market is like taking his advice on taxes. It's wrong.
Absolutely. So, just because the media, publicizes and sensationalizes a lot of what they say doesn't necessarily mean it's the best time to buy, because really he came out.
It doesn't mean that they're the experts either. I mean, Warren Buffett is a stock picker. At least he was in his first 30 years. And his opinions on taxes are just opinions. He hasn't studied the impact of increased taxes on millionaires and billionaires. And his views on real estate, he's not involved in the real estate market, the existing sales of regular households. So why would what he says have any type of validity?
I totally agree.
Other than he has an opinion.
Exactly. And and I feel like you're more going to be in tune with things if you're an actual a local real estate agent, if you're an investor. These are the people that you want to be discussing real estate with in the market that you're trying to buy a home in, because they know the market better than anyone, especially investors. They always have their pulse on what's going on in your local market.
Real estate investors are the best. Even realtors are going to skew because they'll buy the line that it's always a good time to buy a home because it's always a good time for them to collect a commission.
Yep.
It's no cut against them. I mean, that's their livelihood. They're not going to talk you out of buying home.
Sure. But as far as pure price, investors are the best because they know that, they have to buy at a certain price in order for it to make sense. And they can kind of tell you where they've seen the trends go in the market and where they're at now.
Or independent researchers.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. I mean, and that's really the experts there, or the local people or independent firms that you have a non-biased approach. That's where you should be getting your information. Don't be looking to the USA Today and just because Warren Buffett said, "Oh, it's a great time to buy," and my assistant is now buying a second home. That's not a good enough reason. Don't even start there.
You need a person who's either local or someone who is analyzing your local market. Knowing what the national trend is does you absolutely no good.
Yeah, and Louis, I know that you guys have an agent evaluator program. So this is like somebody that's like saying, okay, they're listening to our program today, and they're like, okay, I think that I'm ready to buy. Like a lot of what's you guys are talking about makes sense. I'm tired of renting. I want to buy. It makes sense for me to do so. And they're not sure about what agent they should work with in their area. And they can go onto homegain.com, correct, and use your agent evaluator program.
Right, because if you want to buy a house, you want to make sure you're getting expert advice. So you also then need to make sure that you're using the right realtor. And what HomeGain allows you to do is go on to our site, create a profile, and then get anonymous proposals from real estate agents who will give you their take on what they'll do to help you buy a home or to help you sell your home. And you get a selection of them, and you get to do it anonymously, and it's really the best thing you can do, because if you just pick the first realtor you meet, you might pick the wrong one. So it always makes sense to compare, and HomeGain allows you to do that comparison and to do it anonymously. So you go to HomeGain.com. On the left box, there is a Find and Compare Realtor section. You start there, you determine whether you want to buy or sell, and you take it from there.
And I know, you guys are nationwide, so, we have a lot of listeners that are not just in the D.C. metro area, but they're streaming online and listening all over the country. So no matter where you're at, guys, you can go on here. And I have a few comments that I was going to read out from happy customers that have went on your site. The first one is, HomeGain did help us find a really good realtor in Portland. The reviews on realtors was very helpful, and the $10 Amazon gift card was nice. Another one was, we got many realtor interest in selling our home. We had so many to pick from. It was a little difficult choosing. So it's good that they have the ability to really investigate and learn more about these agents without feeling pressured. I would say that that's the biggest plus there. Wouldn't you agree?
That's the biggest plus, and also you're dealing with a competitive market because the realtors are trying to put their best foot forward to get your business. So they have to impress you with their knowledge of the market and their resume and basically their skill in getting deals done. And you can question them, and they will respond to you, but they will not know exactly who you are, so they're not going to call you unless you decide that you want to give up your phone number and contact details. Then you can start that relationship with them. The other thing we have going on right now, Ryan, is if you do work with a HomeGain realtor and you do close your home, buy or sell, you can get $150 back as well. So there's a good incentive there to actually do the right thing and try to compare real estate agents.
Yeah, and doing it all in one place, they don't have to search all over the internet to try to investigate to see who's the local leader there in the real estate market. So they get to, shop numerous different agents. Let's jump back into the 3 questions you must answer when buying a home. And the second one on the KCM article blog was, when will I begin to see appreciation if I buy now? That's a weird question to me because, like I said, I don't really think that when you're buying a home, unless you're an investor, that you should be completely worried about, okay, I'm going to buy my house today and next year I'm going to see a 3% increase in my home value. I don't think that that's a smart way to go about buying a home right now. Because obviously the market can switch one way or the other very quickly. And I think it's more important that you're locking in your long-term cost of shelter. That's more important to me than whether you're going to have a 5 to 10% appreciation over the next 2 to 5 years. With inflation that will set in at some point, it's important to lock in your long-term cost of shelter. And I think that it's less important to actually be worried about, your house value going up 5 to 10%, by the year 2016. What are your thoughts on that, Louis?
Now, I agree that buying a home, other than during the 2000s, was never intended to be a speculative endeavor in which you expect price appreciation. You should expect some price appreciation only just because you keep the house up, it keeps up with inflation, and you get the benefit of having put the money down. But really, buying a home, as you mentioned, is especially now, is to lock in your long-term cost of shelter with a 30-year mortgage, and then you're comfortable. At least you have your largest expense nailed down to a point of certainty.
Absolutely.
And if it goes up, it goes up. If it goes down a bit, you can absorb that because at least you have the certainty, the hedge, that your mortgage rate isn't going to go up.
Yeah, I totally agree. Coming up on a break, when we come back, we'll get into the third question you must answer when buying a home. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.